Hey, this is Michael Tavon, your favorite author, and I am back with a new video. And it is called, Do You Remember the Time when MTV played in Michael Jackson's face on his birthday?
You raggedy bitch.
I know a lot of you Michael Jackson heads already know about this situation, but a lot of you don't. So I hope either way, this video is informative and entertaining as I yap about Michael Jackson once again. So let's rock. Boom. Now, before I get into the main topic, I want to give you a little background from the years leading up to the MTV 2002 Music Awards. So from 1997 to 2001, Michael Jackson was fairly reclusive for many reasons. First and foremost, he just got off a tour in 1997, the History Tour, and we already know how much Michael Jackson loved to tour.
I love to tour.
Joking. He was already tired. But from that point on, he would only do a few pop-up specials overseas, nothing big, no major tours, no real live performances. He sustained injuries in 1999 during a benefit performance in Munich where he sustained an ankle, back, and knee injury while performing, and he was on a bridge that was at least 40 feet above the actual stage. And suddenly there was a malfunction that caused the bridge itself to descend quickly, boom, crashed onto the ground. But Michael Jackson was a freaking soldier. It was like nothing happened. He continued to perform through all of the pain, and that's the type of person he was. Considering that, he also stopped going to award shows completely. Why? Because he got tired of being disrespected to his face. That he would always be snubbed for certain awards like Artist of the Year, Music Video of the Year, Album of the Year. Although he did continue to win other awards, but we all know the king wanted awards that were more revered than, small stuff. That's neither here or there. From that point, we saw very little of Michael, who was traveling around, living in different places from New York, Neverland, but he was not really public like that. On the other end, we have MTV. From 97 to 2000, they saw a huge explosion in their popularity once again after there was a huge decline in their popularity. There was a lot of ups and downs during the history of MTV, but most notably from 97 to 2000, as I mentioned, they noticed a huge rise in their popularity. As a millennial, we were fed new pop legends every 3 months, from the Christinas to Britney, NSYNC, Cisco. Just pop music, rock music was at its new height. Country music was bubbling again. Hip hop, this was probably the first time in history that every genre was hot all at the same time, and MTV was the mecca of that. So all of their award shows were the biggest musical event every single year. And why the year 2001 is extremely important, because in 2001, Michael Jackson announced that he was releasing his new album, Invincible. Wow. Furthermore, Michael Jackson actually made a guest surprise performance alongside NSYNC in the MTV 2001 award show. It was big. Although he only performed for like 10 seconds, that shit was hoopla around the world. But so MTV thought, how can we capitalize off that? Conveniently, this same performance happened 4 days before Michael Jackson's 30th anniversary special. Now, if you're too young to remember or understand how big this was, this registered 45 million viewers worldwide. Now, when I say registered, that means that's just the amount of televisions that clocked the viewership. That's not the amount of actual eyes that watched it. Like, think about the amount of people who sat in the living room with their family or their significant other, or in bars around the world, or in a small venue who watch this special. I would say probably a third of this world actually viewed this special live, and still to this day, that is the highest rated musical event of all time. Side note, before people want to get into comparing Michael Jackson to
Drake,
Taylor Swift and Chris Brown, I want you to genuinely ask yourself, do you think any of those people can pull in even a third of that audience for a live television event?
Hell no.
Wasn't just an important event for Michael, it was an important event for music itself, as we pretty much watched Michael pass the torch on to the likes of Usher, who a few years later became a global R&B sensation with the album Confessions that went damn near double diamond. We had him performing on the same stage as Britney Spears, who was at the time regarded as the new princess of pop. Jackson also shared the stage again with NSYNC, who was already one of the biggest boy bands of all time. And then a year or two later, Justin Timberlake becomes a superstar as a solo act with Justified, and thereon he continued to ascend as an artist as well. So we watched Michael Jackson not only, he didn't concede his spot as the king of pop, because that's not even possible, but he practically, as the king of pop, showed the younger generation, yo, like, this is your turn. Because unfortunately, we never saw Michael Jackson perform live again. That's how important the 30th anniversary really is in retrospect. Fast forward, this is 2001. Now we fast forward to 2002. Michael Jackson is trying to promote the album that he released in October of 2001. I'm bad with dates, but hey, if I'm wrong, let me know. I think it was October or November 2000. We never seen him perform live any material from that album other than You Rock My World during the 30-year anniversary special. At this point, Michael Jackson was perturbed, angry, because Sony refused to back this album. And in spite of it, it still went platinum. But Michael Jackson is Michael Jackson. Platinum was never enough. He was upset by how Sony handled the entire situation. I mean, they cut promotion, did not do a tour for him, did not do any press, and he called out Tommy Mottola for being a racist snake.
Mariah Carey, after divorcing Tommy, came to me crying. She was crying so badly I had to hold her. And she said to me that this is an evil man. And Michael, this man follows me, she said. He taps her phones. And he's very, very evil. And she doesn't trust him. And he is a horrible human being. And we have to continue our drive until he's terminated.
Oh! Thief. So, at this point, Michael Jackson's reputation with the music business was soured, and also the media went in overtime to not only make him look like a freak, but his public antics were a little bit questionable. And unfortunately, with the Invincible album, it only spawned one more single, which was Cry. And unfortunately, that single was not received well by a lot of critics, as they coined it as another failed attempt as a save the world song, a pop friendly, let's all hold hands type of song. And so we see by this point, half of the public perception of him was bad. Critics were worn out by him, and the music industry saw him as a villain. But MTV was smart, and they knew that MJ's name was still a huge draw. So they decided, you know what? How are we going to get Michael Jackson off of his couch and onto our stage? The only way to do so was to give him an award that they called Artist of the Millennium. Once again, they presented it as if he was going to be the first person to ever receive this award, and Michael Jackson gracefully agreed to attend the award ceremony, as he was fed to believe that he was going to receive this prestigious award, because why would MTV disrespect him? If I was Michael Jackson, I'm thinking, okay, this has to be real, right? This is MTV. I helped build this station from the ground up. There is no way they would disrespect me. So the award was presented by none other than Britney Spears. Michael Jackson gets on stage and gives this beautiful, eloquent speech, heartfelt.
You look wonderful. When I was a little boy in Indiana, if someone had told me that one day I would be getting, as a musician, the Artist of the Millennium Award, I wouldn't have believed it. This is really amazing. I can't believe it. Thank you so very much, but there's a couple of people I have to thank who made this possible. First, I'd like to thank God, who makes all things possible. My mother, Joseph Jackson, Catherine Jackson, Barry Gordy, Diana Ross, Gladys Knight, Quincy Jones, I love you.
David Blaine, your magic is real and I believe in you. And I'd like to thank, I think James Brown is a genius. And all the fans around the world, I love you. God bless you. Thank you.
But sadly, that was met with a lot of awkwardness as he found out backstage that this award was fake. And not only the award itself was fake, the actual plaque that was given to him was just a cake ornament. Unfortunately, there was not a single apology. Instead, they just went on with the joke.
The Millennium Award myself. I guess they're giving the artist the Millennium Award myself. I guess they're giving them backstage. Everyone's getting them.
And Jack Black.
Deep in my heart, I
Someone had told me when I was a little kid that I was going to win the Super Genius of the Universe Award. I said, you no way.
Two people who continued to mock him after he was publicly embarrassed on his birthday. The king of pop might have. It really shows, like, a lot of you are too young to understand how cruel the media was back in the day. Because if you're going to disrespect the king of pop on his birthday, that's pretty bold and wild. But unfortunately, Michael Jackson was heartbroken, and we see this picture of him crying in the car on the way home because he realized that this was not a real award and he left home for no reason. Not only he left home, this was the talk for probably a week, a night show circuit where they were just making fun of him and calling him arrogant, self-centered, and how dare he believe that he should get the Artist of the Millennium Award, which, if there was really an award called Artist of the Millennium, obviously he'd be the one to get it. Unfortunately, it just felt like a joke that everyone was in on except for Britney Spears. I'll give her a little grace because a sad situation, to say the least. So that's all I have to say about that right there. Once again, if I said anything wrong when it came to dates or if I misspoke, feel free to let me know in the comment. Until then, it's been real. And also, hey, if you love romance novels, I urge you to check out my romance novel, I Want to Be Where You Are. It is based on the true story of how I met my wife, and it's truly a unique story. It's not a typical boy meets girl, they instantly fall in love. Trust me. I actually would do a video on the book itself if you guys would like, so let me know in the comments. But yeah, y'all go ahead and check it out. Also, check out my other Michael Jackson content. Michael Jackson's Bad Album versus The Joshua Tree by YouTube, which was one of my favorite videos where I compared the album side by side, track by track, unbiased as possible. As we all know, universally, U2 won the 1988 Grammy Award Album of the Year, and people saw that as a snub towards MJ. So I fairly judged both albums, and y'all should check that out. I'll link it below. But until then, y'all have a good one. I appreciate y'all for watching. Boom.